Well, shit. I got them all right. Yeah, if you remember my picks last week, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Um, yeah, that's the first time I've ever gotten those predictions correct. I have 6-0. Never got all six right before. Actually, I've never gotten any NFL predictions correct on one particular weekend. I always average like somewhere between 60 and 70%, but hey, first time for everything. This just goes to show you that I kind of know where I thought everything was going to go into here. So yeah, wild card weekend is in the books. Yeah, six teams gone. What are we at now? Eight more left. Yeah, eight left. So with that said, let's go ahead and predict divisional round weekend. So we've got four games. So let's go straight to Saturday. We'll start off with the first game, the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, last week, C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, they did a really good job of pretty much kicking the crap out of Cleveland right out of the get-go. Like, they ended the magical run of Joe Flacco, and, two pick sixes on two consecutive drives will do that to you. But yeah, the Houston Texans came into that game, and they really surprised a lot of people. And they're going into the one seed, the Baltimore Ravens. They've been the one team this year that has been very consistent. They've not had to deal with a ton of injuries, which is surprising, which is usually the opposite of what's been going on with the Baltimore Ravens as of late, especially in the month of December. But everyone's coming into this game pretty healthy. Mark Andrews is coming back in this game this week after being out for most of the second half of the season. So you must be thinking, I'm thinking the Baltimore Ravens win this game. Well, not so fast. If you remember, the Texans and the Ravens started the season off in the regular season. It was C.J. Stroud's first game, and the last time they did that, the Texans got blown out by them in that particular game. Trying to remember what the score was here. Yeah, 25-9, which was not a great start. And in fact, C.J. Stroud got injured a lot during the first half of the season. Maybe not as much as Anthony Richardson over in Indianapolis, but if I remember right, he got hit pretty hard. Maybe I'm thinking I am thinking of Anthony Richardson, because now C.J. Stroud's been pretty healthy for a good majority of the season. There's been a couple of games where he hasn't been, and so he had like Case Keenum and some other and Davis Mills coming in here, not doing so well. Of course, they were in that game against Cleveland on Christmas Eve. So now we come to this game here, and I'm gonna make a bold prediction on this one. I think that the Baltimore Ravens will lose to the Houston Texans, because we get that one team every year that comes out of nowhere. You never expect too much for them, and then all of a sudden they go on this little bit of a run here. Last year was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, they come back from 27-0 in the wild card game against Los Angeles to making it pretty close against Kansas City. And then, of course, 2021 was that run for the Cincinnati Bengals. They beat the Raiders at home, and then they go to the one seed Tennessee Titans. They beat them. They beat the Chiefs, which was really surprising, and then they go all the way to the Super Bowl. They almost win that one. I'm thinking the Houston Texans will go on a run here. I think C.J. Stroud will find a way to win this game. He's become a much better quarterback than he has in recent years, from the first time that these two teams met, earlier in the season, I should say. And there's a chance for a golden opportunity here to really take this Texans team to the next level, somewhere they haven't been to in their history, and that's the conference championship game. So I'm making the bold prediction here. I think the Houston Texans go to the AFC Championship game for the first time. I think they'll upset the Baltimore Ravens. I think it'll be much more closer than people will let on. And I think C.J. Stroud will continue this magical streak that he's been on. Like I said, I think it'll be much closer than the first time they played. So that's what I'm definitely thinking, that the Texans will win. And then for the second game, we have the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, the 49ers, they were the first team to pretty much clinch everything, the playoffs, the division, the first round bye. But I'm still of that belief that they're a team that is near perfect except for the quarterback. I do not think Brock Purdy is the quarterback that gets this team to the finish line here. I think he's the weak link of that team. And yeah, Green Bay did a great job of going into Dallas last week and really upsetting them. But then again, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Third consecutive year, 12-5, and they lay yet another goose egg, and yet Mike McCarthy still has a job, surprisingly. But hey, speaking of C.J. Stroud, here's another guy that really came out of nowhere in Jordan Love. But then again, Jordan Love's been with the Green Bay Packers since 2020. He's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. And look at what he does this year, especially in the last couple of weeks. They have been on a roll the last couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if they do make it a close game. I think they could have a chance to maybe potentially upset. I'm not going to pick them to win because I think San Francisco has too many weapons around Purdy that can carry the team through, even if Brock Purdy isn't the best thing about the game. I mean, you still got Christian McCaffrey, you still got that top wide receiver core, that top defense. I think there's more than enough pieces there for San Francisco to go in and win this game. I think kind of like with the Texans and Ravens, I think Green Bay will make it close, but I don't think it'll be enough to get them to the NFC Championship game. I think the San Francisco 49ers will host the NFC Championship game next week. So we have the Houston Texans so far in the AFC Championship game, and then the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. So who will the 49ers play, in my opinion? So let's go to the next game, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. Tampa Bay, not surprisingly, they won against the Philadelphia Eagles, a banged-up Philadelphia Eagles team, and an Eagles team that was nowhere near the 10-1 team that they were just a month ago. Like, this was a team that was literally 10-1, limped its way into the playoffs, and did not have enough there to really get past the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, the Buccaneers were the only team so far to stop the tush push. Think about that. They played 19 games. Yeah, 19 games. Nobody had been able to stop the tush push until Tampa Bay did it the second time. And Baker Mayfield's got a home there. I feel like that he'll be there for a while now, unless Tampa Bay really decides to completely forget the fact that he won a playoff game and screw him over again, just like what happened with Cleveland. But so they go into Detroit, which Detroit, for the most part, did a pretty good job in the first half of the game against the Rams. But then they let that score get away from them. They almost let the game get away from them. I mean, if it's not for that catch by Amon-Ra St. Brown in the final minutes, you're thinking that the Lions are going to let the Rams win this one, because I guarantee you Matthew Stafford would have found a way to get Puka Nacua down the field to get him into field goal range. But the Lions won. They get another home game next week, and I think that they'll continue to build that momentum into this game here. I think it'll be a game where the Lions will have more control over this one. I think home field advantage has worked for them so far. I'm predicting them to win. So I think it's going to be the Detroit Lions and the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Which brings us now to the last game of Divisional Round weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Pretty much lopsided wins against Miami and Pittsburgh. Miami didn't really do anything in that game because of the cold weather, which, like if you can't do anything, like, Tampa Bay had to win championships in cold weather, had to win championship games in cold weather. The Miami Dolphins can't do that. Like, they threw one long, deep throw down the field to Tyreek Hill that entire game for the touchdown, and then did nothing else for the rest of the game. They just couldn't do anything. Like Kansas City really didn't need to do anything. They just scored in the first quarter, scored in the fourth quarter, touchdowns, and then just kicked field goals, keep the score further a distance away from the opposing team, and they win the game. And then of course Buffalo, they beat my Steelers, and I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna save what I have to say about the Steelers for this weekend, because we really need to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Buffalo, I know you were going to win this game. I predicted you to win, but I have a lot of problems with the way that game ended. But so let's go to this one here. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, the game that everybody, but meaning the networks in the NFL, wants. Mahomes and Allen. Patrick Mahomes is going to his first road playoff game, and now it's going to be in Buffalo, which means Buffalo is going to have the upper hand. I mean, Buffalo has to have the upper hand here. No, I think it's going to be Kansas City. I think Patrick Mahomes has proven time and time again that in the regular season, that anytime if you put him on the road in the regular season, he will find ways to win games. And the defense has been really doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the Kansas City Chiefs. The offense has been struggling mightily. They don't have it. They don't have top wide receivers. They don't have those same the wide receivers that they had last year that got them all the way to the Super Bowl and won them the Super Bowl. Travis Kelce is the only target that Mahomes really has left to him, and even then, he's not hitting them as many times as he should. And but despite all that, I think Kansas City still finds a way to win this one. I think that just Buffalo got away with a lot all this season, especially with this last wild card game. So. And, I think Kansas City really goes in there and shows that they are still the dominant team in the AFC. And they bring that back over to Mahomes' 6th consecutive AFC championship game. I think that's how this conference championship weekend will basically sum out. My final predictions for the conference championship, it will be the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. A rematch of the 2019 Divisional Round where Houston took a 24-0 lead, but then Bill O'Brien decided to pump the brake, and it basically led to Kansas City coming back and winning that game and eventually going on to the Super Bowl. And then the NFC Championship game, it's going to be the Detroit Lions at the San Francisco 49ers. So those are my picks right there. I was 100% perfect last time, so will it happen again for the second time? Check back next week to find out.